Friends, I have already seen people invest hundreds and even thousands of dollars in beautiful raised beds, expensive soil and seedlings from the best nurseries. And then they watch with disappointment as their fruit trees hardly bear fruit for years or die. They try to build the perfect plot by buying the best seedlings, but end up with zero yield. You will learn how our ancestors made millions of dollars from plants thanks to the right approach to gardening. Most of these plants are not so popular, but you have no idea about their beneficial properties, which the elites of that time so carefully hid from you. Now imagine for a second that in this day and age, even the most prolific fruit trees no longer even need a backyard. Some of them grow quietly in places where only a chair and a couple of pots fit. And they can easily grow on yours even on an ordinary balcony, not to mention the beds. And one of these trees can produce its first harvest in less than 6 months. I have prepared a list for you, and when you get to number 7, you will realize how much you have been lied to about container gardening. Friends, you are just on the channel where we will break the myth that a good harvest is available only to those who have hectares of land and a fat wallet. If you are here for the first time, great. You have come to a place where you will learn the real truth about plants, not illusions. Today, we are only talking about practical gardening, which actually works under normal conditions and not in ideal nursery catalogs. And to those who watch me constantly, thank you. You are the ones who turn this into a real community and not just another channel. Now to the point, most people are convinced that fruit requires years of waiting, perfect soil, and plenty of sun. But container trees play by different rules. They are compact. Their roots work more efficiently, and selective breeding has made them capable of producing impressive yields even in a limited amount of land. Today, we will look at 10 fruit trees that not only survive in pots, but consistently bear fruit, produce a real tasty harvest that can be transported, brought indoors during cold weather, and grown even where others grow nothing. We start with number 10 and move towards the absolute champion. So, our list of leaders opens with something so unusual: kumquat. I know what you're thinking. Isn't it just a tiny orange? Not really. Kumquat is a unique citrus experience. You eat them whole, skin and all, and the combination of sweet skin and tart flesh is truly addictive. This is why kumquats are ideal for pots. They are naturally compact, usually staying under 4 feet tall in containers. They are also incredibly hardy for citrus, tolerating temperatures up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. This means that more people can grow them than almost any other citrus variety. The Nagami variety is your best choice for containers. It is productive, decorative with gorgeous white flowers, and requires minimal pruning. Plant it in a 15-gallon pot with well-draining citrus soil. Give it full sun and water when the top 2 inches of soil are dry. Here's an insider tip. Kumquats bear fruit on new growth. So light pruning after harvest actually encourages more fruiting. And because they're self-pollinating, you don't need multiple trees, 1 tree, 1 balcony, fresh citrus fruits all winter. Number 9, calamandan. Staying on citrus, let's talk about calamandan. This Filipino staple is essentially the definition of adaptability. Calamandan trees are virtually impossible to kill, making them ideal for beginners or those who have accidentally killed a houseplant or 2. The fruits are similar to tiny tangerines, very tart, great for cooking, drinks, and marmalade. But this is what makes calamandan special for small spaces. This is one of the most ornamental fruit trees you can grow. The tree bears fruit and flowers at the same time, so you'll have white, fragrant flowers next to bright orange fruit on the same branch. This is amazing. Calamandans are also extremely forgiving. They tolerate partial shade better than most citrus fruits. They recover from underwatering and are naturally pest-resistant. For container growing, choose a 12 to 15-gallon pot. Use a quality potting mix and fertilize monthly during the growing season with a balanced citrus fertilizer. One trick I like: calamandan juice is incredibly concentrated. Just a few fruits can replace an entire lemon in recipes. So although the fruits are small, the tree alone gives you some serious culinary value. Plus, the tree itself stays about 3 to 4 feet tall in the container, making it ideal for patios or even brightly lit rooms. Number 8, dwarf peach. Let's change course and talk about stone fruits. Peaches typically require a lot of space, but dwarf varieties have changed all that. Trees such as Bonanza or Eldorado produce full-size, juicy peaches on trees no more than 5 to 6 feet tall. Now, peaches require a little more attention than citrus fruits, but the rewards are incredible. We're talking about biting into a sunny, warm, homemade peach that's so flavorful. The supermarket versions will never compare. For containers, you will need at least a 20-gallon pot. And peaches need full sun. I'm talking at least 6 to 8 hours. They also require a winter chilling period, which means they need a certain amount of cold weather to fruit properly. Bonanza requires about 200 to 300 hours of chilling, which is suitable for most temperate climates. Here's a pro tip. Peaches are strong consumers of nutrients. Start with a rich, loamy soil mixture and add compost every spring. Fertilize with fruit tree formula every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season. And don't skip pruning. Peaches bear fruit on annual growth wood, so annual pruning in late winter keeps your tree productive and manageable. Also, most dwarf peaches are self-fertile, meaning you only need one tree. And because you're growing in a container, you can move the tree to a protected location if a late spring frost threatens your flowers. Number 7. Dwarf Banana. Okay, this is where the fun starts. Bananas in a pot, and yes, they absolutely work. Dwarf banana varieties, such as Dwarf Cavendish or Super Dwarf Cavendish, grow 4 to 6 feet tall and produce true edible bananas. I'm not talking about decorative varieties. These are real supermarket quality bananas that you can pick on your patio. Bananas grow fast, absurdly fast in warm climates or when protected indoors. You can see fruits in as little as 9 to 12 months. And best of all, banana plants are technically giant herbs rather than trees, which means their root systems are very suitable for pots. To be successful in a container, you will need a large pot. Think about 20 to 25 gallons. And bananas love rich, moisture-absorbing soil. Mix the potting mix with compost and a little coco coir to help retain moisture without becoming waterlogged. Bananas are thirsty drinkers, especially in hot weather, so consistent watering is key. They also crave moisture and warmth. If you're in a cooler climate, bring your banana plant indoors during the winter. Place it near a sunny window. Spray the leaves periodically and it will happily wait out the colder months. One insider trick: after your banana plant bears fruit, the main stem dies, but it sends out babies or young plants from the base. Allow 1 or 2 babies to ripen and you will have a continuous supply of bananas year after year from the same pot. Okay, quick pause. If you like this list and are already planning which tree to buy first, let me know in the comments. What's your top pick at the moment? Are you the citrus team, or are you ready to grow bananas on your balcony? Leave a comment below. I read every one of them. And if you haven't liked this video yet, now is a great time. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps this channel reach more budget-conscious gardeners like you. Okay, let's continue. Number 6, Meyer Lemon. We can't talk about container fruit trees without mentioning Meyer Lemon. This is the gold standard gateway tree that transforms ordinary plant owners into full-fledged fruit-growing enthusiasts. Meyer lemons are a hybrid of a true lemon and a tangerine, giving them a slightly sweeter, less sour flavor. The fruits are incredible for cooking, baking, and drinks. And the tree itself is absolutely magnificent. Glossy green leaves, fragrant white flowers, and bright yellow fruits that hang on the tree for months. Meyer lemons are also surprisingly productive in containers. A healthy tree in a 15 to 20 gallon pot can easily produce 30 to 50 lemons a year. That's a serious return on investment. They grow best in full sun, but they tolerate partial shade better than most citrus fruits. Water deeply but infrequently, allowing the top few inches of soil to dry out between waterings. And feed your Meyer lemon citrus fertilizer every month during the growing season. Here's what most people don't know. Meyer lemons are more sensitive to cold than regular lemons. If temperatures drop below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, bring the tree indoors or into the garage. The good news is that they adapt well to indoor life as long as they receive bright light, either from a south-facing window or a plant lamp. One final tip. Meyer lemons are self-pollinating, but indoors you may need to hand-pollinate by gently touching the flowers with a small brush. It takes 2 seconds and significantly increases fruiting. Number 5. Dwarf Garnet. Pomegranates are ancient, revered, and absolutely stunning plants, and the dwarf varieties are specifically designed for container life. Varieties such as Nana or State Fair stay under 3 feet tall and produce true edible pomegranates. The fruit is smaller than supermarket versions, but the flavor is concentrated and incredibly sweet. Plus, pomegranate trees have this unique ornamental quality. The leaves are narrow and shiny. The flowers are bright orange-red. And even the fruits have the appearance of a precious stone as they ripen. Pomegranates are also incredibly easy to care for. They are drought-tolerant once established. They tolerate heat well and are naturally pest-resistant. For containers, use a 10 to 15-gallon pot with well-draining soil. Pomegranates hate wet feet, so make sure your pot has excellent drainage. They need full sun to fruit well, but will tolerate light shade without much complaint. Fertilize sparingly. Pomegranates are not heavy consumers of nutrients, so a slow-release granular fertilizer in the spring is usually sufficient. Here's a cool trick. Pomegranates are deciduous, meaning they lose their leaves in winter. Don't panic. This is fine. Simply reduce watering during dormancy, and your tree will recover in the spring with fresh growth and new flowers. And if you're growing indoors, dwarf pomegranates may be fine, but they really prefer outdoor conditions. Consider keeping them outside during the growing season and moving them into a cool garage or basement during winter dormancy. Number 4, dwarf apple. Apples in pots? Absolutely. And not just any apples. We're talking full-sized, crisp, flavorful apples from trees up to 6 feet tall. Columnar apple varieties such as North Paul or Scarlet Sentinel are game changers. These trees grow upright with minimal branching, making them incredibly space-efficient. You can place several columnar apple trees in a small area, and they look impressive lining a deck or balcony railing. Apple trees have one unique requirement. Most varieties require a pollinator. This means you will either need 2 different varieties of apples, or you can plant a wild apple tree nearby for cross-pollination. However, some varieties, such as Golden Sentinel, are self-fertile, so do your research before purchasing. For containers, choose 20 to 25-gallon pots. Apple trees have a larger root system than citrus trees, so size matters. Use a rich, loamy soil mixture and enrich with compost annually. Apple trees are also heavy consumers of nutrients, so fertilize with a balanced fruit tree formula every 4 to 6 weeks during the growing season. Here's an insider secret. Apple trees need hours of winter chilling, just like peaches. Most varieties require 200 to 800 hours below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live in a warm climate, look for low-chill varieties such as Anna or Dorset Golden. Pruning is also critical for apple trees. They bear fruit on spurs, which are short, blunt branches that take several years to bear fruit. Light annual pruning keeps your tree healthy and productive without removing these valuable fruiting structures. Number 3, figs. Figs are legendary in container gardening circles, and for good reason. They are incredibly productive, incredibly adaptable, and they produce fruit that is almost impossible to find fresh in stores. Varieties such as Petite Negra, Little Ruby, or Chicago Hardy are especially suited to pots and small spaces. These trees remain compact, rarely exceeding 5 to 6 feet, and produce 2 harvests per year in warm climates. The first crop, called the brib crop, forms on old wood in early summer. The second main crop is formed on new growth in late summer and fall. Figs are also shockingly forgiving. They tolerate pruning well, tolerate irregular watering better than most fruit trees, and are relatively pest-free. For containers, use a 15 to 20-gallon pot with well-draining soil. Figs prefer slightly alkaline conditions, so adding a little lime to the soil mixture can help. They thrive in full sun, but tolerate partial shade. Water regularly during the growing season, but reduce watering in winter. And here's a pro tip. Container-grown figs actually bear fruit more reliably than trees planted in the ground, because restricting the root system encourages fruiting. Figs are now deciduous, so they shed their leaves in winter. In cold climates, move potted figs to an unheated garage or basement. They can tolerate cold dormancy, but the roots are vulnerable to hard frosts in pots. One last trick. Figs don't need pollination. They are parthenocarpic, meaning they produce fruit without fertilization. One tree, zero hassle, maximum return. Number 2, dwarf avocado. Avocados in pots? Yes, and it's easier than you think. Varieties like Ward's, also called Little Co., are naturally compact and incredibly productive in containers. Ward's avocados remain about 8 to 10 feet tall when trimmed and produce creamy, buttery avocados that rival any you'll find in stores. Avocados need warmth and sun, ideally 6 to 8 hours of direct light daily. They also prefer well-draining soil. Mix standard potting mix with perlite and sand to create a fast-draining medium. Overwatering is the #1 killer of container avocados. Therefore, water only when the top few inches of soil are dry. For containers, you will need a large pot, at least 25 gallons. Avocados have a vigorous root system and appreciate space. They are also moderate consumers of nutrients, so fertilize monthly with a balanced formula during the growing season. That's what's critical. Most avocados need a pollinator. They have a strange flowering behavior called protogeny, in which the flowers open as female one day and male the next. Warts, however, is self-fertile, meaning you only need one tree. Avocados are also sensitive to salt buildup, especially in containers. Rinse the soil with fresh water every few months to prevent salt buildup, which can damage roots and reduce fruiting. And if you're in a cold climate, bring your avocados indoors during the winter. It won't fruit indoors, but it will survive until you can move it outside again in the spring. Number 1, dwarf blueberry. And this one might really surprise you because blueberries are technically shrubs, not trees. But they deserve first place because they are by far the easiest, healthiest, most beginner-friendly fruiting plants you can grow in a container. Varieties like Top Hat, Jelly Bean, or Peach Sorbet stay under 2 to 3 feet tall and produce an incredible amount of berries. We're talking pounds of fruit per plant. And blueberries in pots have this bonus. It is decorative at any time of the year. Clusters of white or pink, bell-shaped flowers appear in spring. In summer, you get large, juicy berries. In autumn, fiery red and orange foliage. Even in winter, there is visual interest thanks to the red stems. Blueberries need acidic soil, ideally a pH between 4.5 and 5.5. Use acidic potting soil designed for acid-loving plants. Or mix peat moss with regular potting mix. This is non-negotiable. Blueberries will not thrive in neutral or alkaline soil. For containers, a 10 to 15 gallon pot is ideal. Blueberries have a shallow fibrous root system, so they do not need excessive depth. However, they require constant moisture. Water regularly, especially during fruiting, but make sure the pot has good drainage. Blueberries are also self-fertile, but planting 2 different varieties greatly increases yield due to cross-pollination. And they are hardy, meaning they perform in a wide range of climates. Here's the rub. Blueberries are a perennial plant. One plant, with proper care, can bear fruit for 20 years or more. That's decades of fresh berries from one small space. Feed your blueberries an acid-loving fertilizer in early spring and midsummer. Prune lightly in late winter to remove dead or weak wood. And protect your berries from birds with a net, otherwise you won't taste any of them. So here it is, 10 fruit trees. Well, 9 trees and 1 incredible shrub that prove you don't need acres of land to grow bountiful, delicious fruit. Whether you have a tiny balcony, a small patio, or just a sunny spot by your front door, each of these plants can thrive in a container. Here is my challenge for you. Pick one, just one. Start small, learn as you go, and see what happens. Growing your own fruit is truly life-changing. It saves money, tastes better, and connects you to your food in a way that grocery shopping never can. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We have a lot more useful material, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. And leave a comment below. Which tree will you try first? Do you have questions about care or varieties? I want to hear back from you all, and I am responding to as many comments as possible. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember that incredible gardens don't require big budgets. Just a little creativity and a lot of heart. See you in the next video.